During a home renovation project, Olin, a Michigan homeowner, made an unexpected discovery that would forever change the trajectory of his simple DIY task. As he demolished the old concrete steps outside, he unearthed a hidden surprise that astonished both him and his wife. Olin, a man with a nomadic childhood, had long craved stability. After years of moving from place to place, he finally found the sense of permanence he'd been seeking with a loving family in a newly purchased home. Eager to create a nurturing environment, Olin was determined to make this house a place of lasting memories. The project began with a simple plan: to renovate the worn and cracked concrete steps that led to the front door. It was a manageable task, a small improvement to add character to the house. One bright, sunny morning, Olin gathered his tools and got to work, filled with anticipation. His wife and daughter came to see him off, and in a light-hearted moment, he posed playfully with his sledgehammer, earning giggles from his daughter. After a brief exchange of words with his wife, Olin began his work with enthusiasm, each swing of the sledgehammer accompanied by a whistle. Each crack in the concrete felt like a step forward, a sign of progress. However, what was supposed to be a routine demolition soon turned into something far more remarkable. As Olin took a particularly forceful swing, a flash of color caught his eye amid the debris. Surprised, he paused and knelt down, brushing away the dust and rubble. To his astonishment, he uncovered something round and shiny buried beneath the broken concrete. It was unlike anything Olin had expected to find, clearly not part of the original structure. Intrigued, Olin examined the object more closely, unsure of what he had stumbled upon. As he carefully cleared more debris, he realized it was an old, weathered metal box, its surface rusted but still intact. It was clear that whatever was hidden beneath the steps had been there for a long time, tucked away from the world for years, perhaps decades. His heart raced as he wondered what secrets the box might hold. Excitement and curiosity coursed through Olin as he realized that his home, which had once seemed like just a place to live, was full of hidden history waiting to be uncovered. The discovery made Olin feel even more connected to the house, which had already captured his imagination since the day they first toured it. From the moment he had set foot inside, he saw potential beyond the worn floors and outdated fixtures. He had envisioned a cozy, warm home for his family, a place they could make their own. Even as he had spoken to his wife about his plans for renovations, Olin's excitement had been palpable. "This place has so much charm," he had told his wife during their first visit, his eyes lighting up with possibilities. "I can already picture how we can make it our own." At first, his wife had been skeptical. She had grown accustomed to their previous homes and wasn't sure about taking on such a big project. But Olin's infectious enthusiasm slowly won her over, and she agreed to trust his vision. They had made the decision together to buy the house, and now it felt like that decision was being rewarded in the most unexpected way. As Olin stood there, staring at the box, he felt a deep connection to the house, as though it were revealing something extraordinary about itself. This hidden treasure beneath the front steps felt like a sign that his family's new home was full of potential, waiting for them to uncover it. But what was inside the box? What secrets did it hold? After a moment of reflection, Olin carefully pried open the box with his hands, eager to see what lay inside. When he lifted the lid, he found an assortment of old papers and photographs, each one yellowed with age. He could hardly believe his eyes. This was no ordinary treasure chest. Among the items was a letter that looked as though it had been written many years ago. With trembling hands, Olin carefully unfolded it. The letter, written in neat cursive, appeared to be a message from the original owners of the house. It spoke of their life in the home, their joys and struggles, and the family they had raised there. As Olin read the letter aloud to his wife, they both marveled at the connection they now felt to the past. The house was no longer just a structure to renovate. It was a living piece of history, and they were now a part of that story. The discovery sparked a new sense of excitement in Olin. This unexpected find was not just a hidden artifact, it was a reminder of how deeply intertwined their family's story was with the houses. The old letter and photographs were a tangible connection to the lives that had come before them, and Olin realized that this home had a richness and depth that he hadn't fully appreciated until now. It was as if the house was welcoming them into its history, offering them a chance to be a part of something larger than themselves. For Olin, this discovery was a turning point in his renovation journey. What had started as a simple project now held much deeper meaning. As he continued working on the house, he felt a new sense of purpose, a desire not only to improve the space for his family, but to honor the history and stories of those who had lived there before. Each swing of the hammer, each brushstroke of paint, became a tribute to the past and a celebration of the future they were building together. During a home renovation project, Olin, a Michigan homeowner, made an unexpected and baffling discovery that would turn his simple DIY task into an unforgettable mystery. While demolishing the old concrete steps outside his new home, Olin unearthed a bowling ball. Confused by the odd find, he held it up, turning it over in his hands. A bowling ball, he muttered, perplexed. He set it aside, thinking it was just a strange coincidence, and continued with his work. However, as Olin chipped away at more concrete, he uncovered not one, but several more bowling balls buried beneath the steps. With each swing of his sledgehammer, colorful spheres began emerging from the rubble. "Sarah," Olin called out, his voice filled with awe. His wife rushed outside, concerned at first, but soon shared his astonishment at the growing pile of bowling balls. Together, they cleared away more debris, and more balls appeared, one after the other. By the end of the day, Olin and Sarah had unearthed an astounding 160 bowling balls stacked haphazardly around them. The couple exchanged stunned looks, trying to make sense of the bizarre discovery. The mystery of how and why these bowling balls had been buried beneath the concrete filled Olin's mind with questions. Who had buried them, and why? What could the hidden balls possibly mean for their new home? As they examined the collection, Olin noted the balls' varying conditions. Some looked almost new, while others showed signs of long-term burial. Dirt caked onto the surface, faded colors, and worn-out seams. Each ball was stamped with the Brunswick engraving, a brand they both recognized, but that only raised more questions about how they came to be there. Olin and Sarah also observed peculiarities in the ball's features. Many had two spiral grooves cut into them, which was unusual. Though the balls appeared to be the same size, they differed in weight. The predominance of black balls was another odd detail that stood out. Despite the mystery, Olin remained focused on the task. He brushed aside his wife's concerns about the strange discovery. "It's just a strange find," he assured her. "Maybe someone left them behind as a joke or some sort of odd project." However, his wife's unease continued to grow. "Do you think these were buried for a reason? Maybe we shouldn't have dug them up," she said, her voice tinged with worry. Though Olin dismissed her fears, a feeling of uncertainty lingered in the back of his mind. The safety of their young children, ages 1, 2, and 5, was now his foremost concern. What if the bowling balls contained something hazardous, or worse, what if they had been buried for a dangerous purpose? As Olin and Sarah continued to investigate the balls, they began to form a theory. What if these bowling balls were part of some forgotten, bizarre history tied to the house? They wondered whether the previous owners had buried them, and if so, why? Had they hidden something inside? Were these balls part of an obscure collection or a strange form of artwork? With no answers in sight, Olin was determined to find out more, hoping that the mystery would eventually unfold. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Olin set out to research the history of the house. He combed through old property records and reached out to neighbors who had lived in the area for years. After weeks of inquiry, he learned that the house had once belonged to a local eccentric, a man who was known for his unusual hobbies and habits. The neighbors spoke of him as someone who had a fascination with bowling, often collecting balls and storing them in strange ways. The story behind the bowling balls started to take shape. Apparently, the man had been a competitive bowler in his younger years, and over time, his obsession with the sport had grown. It was rumored that he had begun collecting bowling balls as a form of therapy, believing that the balls held some kind of spiritual significance. In his later years, the man had begun burying the balls beneath his home, convinced that it would bring him good luck or help him tap into a hidden energy. Although the neighbors couldn't provide a definitive explanation for the large quantity of buried bowling balls, they confirmed that the former owner had been an eccentric with a penchant for strange rituals. Olin couldn't help but laugh at the bizarre twist his renovation had taken. What started as a simple home improvement project had turned into an exploration of local lore and history. Despite the strange origins of the bowling balls, Olin felt a deep sense of connection to his new home. The discovery of the 160 bowling balls became a symbol of the house's rich and quirky past, a story he would one day tell his children. The mystery may have been unsettling at first, but it had become a strange part of the house's charm. Olin no longer saw it as just an odd find, but as a piece of history, an unexpected part of his family's new journey in the home. As Olin finished his renovation project, he couldn't help but appreciate the strange, sometimes baffling history that each home carries with it. The concrete steps, once worn and tired, had become a doorway into a fascinating mystery, one that had brought a unique sense of wonder to his family. And although the bowling balls had been buried deep beneath the house, Olin realized that some mysteries are meant to be discovered, no matter how odd or unexpected they may seem. In an effort to uncover the mystery of the hundreds of bowling balls buried beneath his home, Olin decided to reach out to Brunswick Bowling Products. After providing a detailed description of his strange discovery, the company confirmed that the balls were indeed their products, manufactured in the 1950s at a local plant in Muskegon. However, they couldn't offer an explanation for how so many of their balls ended up buried beneath Olin's property. Though this was a partial answer, it left Olin with many lingering questions, particularly about the potential safety concerns for his family. The Brunswick representative assured Olin that the balls were safe, suggesting they were likely defective factory products that were discarded or overlooked. Although this explanation was comforting, it did little to satisfy Olin's curiosity. He couldn't help but wonder how these balls had come to rest beneath his home in such large numbers. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Olin delved into the history of Brunswick's presence in Muskegon during the 1950s, a time when the company was thriving and producing a variety of sporting goods. While researching, Olin learned that the Brunswick factory had once been a major part of the local economy, with a significant workforce during that time. To get more insight into the company's past and its connection to his strange find, Olin reached out to Mr. Dunas, an elderly local resident known for his knowledge of the area's history. They met at a nearby diner, where Olin shared the details of his discovery. Mr. Dunas listened intently, taking in Olin's unusual tale. "I can't say for certain how those balls ended up under your house," Mr. Dunas said thoughtfully, "but there's an old story in town that might shed some light on it. Back when Brunswick was booming, workers would often take home defective products. The company didn't have a use for them, so employees would repurpose them or just keep them for themselves." Intrigued, Olin pressed for more details, hoping this local lore would help him make sense of the growing mystery. Mr. Dunas leaned in and continued, his voice tinged with nostalgia. "There was a manager at the Brunswick plant who enforced a strict policy against workers taking anything home. He made sure that all defective items were either stored away or destroyed. But after a series of strange accidents befell him, he was replaced. The new manager immediately lifted the ban, allowing workers to take home whatever they wanted, including defective products like those bowling balls." Olin listened intently as Mr. Dunas recounted the story. The pieces were slowly falling into place, and Olin wondered if the story could explain why so many bowling balls had been buried beneath his house. The mystery, it seemed, might have roots in the factory's past, when workers were allowed to take home items that were otherwise discarded. These bowling balls, perhaps, were remnants of a time when the factory's workers had found their own use for defective products. During a home renovation, Olin made an unexpected discovery: a collection of buried bowling balls beneath his house. Reassured by local historian Mr. Dunas that the balls were harmless relics, Olin grew excited about the possibility of uncovering a piece of local history. Encouraged by his neighbor, Olin created a Facebook group, The Bowling Ball Guy, to share his findings with the community. His story quickly gained traction, with former Brunswick employees confirming that workers had once used scrap bowling balls as fill material. As Olin continued to dig, curiosity spread through his neighborhood, with others joining the search for their own hidden treasures. Olin's findings even led him to donate a few balls to a local church for a unique bowling ball cannon and save some for his stepfather's furniture projects. The growing interest in Olin's discovery caught the attention of Brunswick, who reached out to feature his story in an upcoming marketing campaign. As Olin became a local celebrity, his simple renovation project turned into an adventure that united his community and sparked a renewed interest in local history. Months later, Olin reflected on his journey. His home, once just a place to settle, had become a window into the past, filled with stories and surprises. What started as a DIY project had turned into a legacy, reminding him of the importance of curiosity and the unexpected treasures that lie beneath the surface.